Okay, so what's up, guys? It's Matters, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 most underrated zombies maps in zombies history. Now, we're going to keep it to Treyarch. I'm not trying to meme or anything, and, these are the maps that people just hate, and they just blanket hate all over, and they're just like, oh, I hate that map, And I guess, maybe they had bad experiences on it, and maybe they're just, terrible maps in general, but I feel like these maps on the list, you can take something from these maps that we have on the list right here. You can take some fun, you can take some different elements that you can just appreciate for what it was worth. Obviously the maps on this list are obviously not the best, they're underrated. So I feel like, me personally, this is my personal list. They could be switched around a lot, just depends on what I want, but I think these maps, they need a bit more love. So starting off, obviously if you can leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated, and let's get started. So starting off, number 5, this is a bit hard. I did Shang / Call of the Dead. Now I know there are a lot of people that love Shang, a lot of people that love Call of the Dead. That's why we're only number 5 here, because it's not that like underrated. Some people it's close to 50-50. Shang and Call of the Dead, they're both fairly hard maps, but there's just so much cool elements part of it. Both Easter eggs are pretty damn fun, especially the Call of Duty Easter egg. The Call of Duty Easter egg, that was a pretty interesting Easter egg with the whole vodka bottle, and you get the Wonder Waffle, and the crew was trapped in like the container. That was all storyline stuff, whatever. It was just cool sceneries, cool elements. You just had a really cool feeling playing on these maps, and I feel like when people play these maps, they're either just like, oh, I don't want to play Shang, it's so hard. Like, you never see anyone stream Shang on Black Ops 3 for any challenges. It's just so damn hard. There's nowhere to train. Call of the Dead, maybe I feel like a bit easier than Shang. I don't know, maybe not. But you have George Romero, and it's also a pretty damn hard map. So that's why people don't play it. But I think overall, they're pretty underrated. I think people need to think, well, they're hard maps, but they're not necessarily bad maps. So when I see people say like, oh, I hate Shang, it's like, well, you hate it because it's harder, or it's a bit more difficult, but not because it's bad, because they're pretty good and well done maps. It's not like they're poorly done maps. So that's that thing. So that's a pretty neutral one. Number 4, Nuketown. So we're going to get into a tricky situation here with number 4 and number 3. But, all right, Nuketown, I feel like it's a bit high just because a lot of people, at least recently, like all these streamers, like everyone's just playing Nuketown now. Everyone's playing Nuketown. And it's a pretty fun, it's a fun map. Back when Nuketown came out, it was just like, okay, why would I want to wait till round 20 to get Jug, It just didn't make sense, and people are just like, why would anyone want to ever do that? Nuketown, it's also difficult. You don't get any of your perks you want, it's too randomized. My complaint was that, why don't you open up more areas, make it a bit more interesting, just do different stuff, I don't know. But Nuketown, it's got this challenge factor. It's just like this cool, fun, almost like sandbox map you jump into and you just grind and you just have a challenge, and it's just different from the norm. And it's also the cool scenery, cool stuff. There's some storyline stuff going on with Moon and the rocket launching and the zombies' eyes changing to blue at like round 20 or 25 or something. So it's pretty cool what goes on there. But again, a lot of people could argue that the map is just not a well designed map. I guess it's off of a multiplayer map, and people are just like, okay, look, let's just keep zombies to zombies maps and not bring multiplayer maps over. I guess that makes sense, but Nuketown is an exception. Nuketown is pretty damn cool to have as a zombies map. I think they did a pretty good job. The layout, it's questionable. I think, with Shang, Call of Dead, solid layouts, they're just really too hard. That's why people don't like them. Nuketown, you can sort of start to understand why someone would be like, this is the second map that we get. Like, why? It's just not, I don't know. You know what I mean. A multiplayer map as a zombies map doesn't seem to work out all the time, but I think Nuketown's a pretty solid, fun map to play. There's a lot of challenge, it's cool, and all that cool stuff. So, moving on here, number 3, we have 5. So, 5, it's weird, because you would think 5, I mean, you would think it's a cool map to play, And, you know, it is. You have the whole Pentagon vibe with the, you know, JFK and your Nixon and Castro and all those different guys. And it's a pretty cool map. It's just, it's too, you know, I guess linear in a sense. And it's too, I feel like I'm just boxed in all the time. I feel like you can't, it doesn't flow as much, you know? You're on the first area. I guess if you use the teleporters correctly, and if, you know, you go down the elevator and then you go down the other elevator, I guess you can get where you need to get to without, you know, dying as much, but it just doesn't flow like a normal zombies map. I think everyone sort of understands that, you know? And 5, you know, again, I appreciate it. It's a really cool map. You know, the design is cool. I think the layout is just, you know, it's just not a user-friendly layout. It's cool, it's different. It's just not a good map for going, you know, going for high rounds. I mean, if you want a difficult map to go for high rounds, you definitely pick 5, but you know, there's just the layout is just not the best. It's just not the best. But it's a pretty cool gun overall, though. And you know, the guy the Pentagon thief, that guy's an asshole. Oh, I'm gonna get demonetized. Damn it. No, but I don't know. Just some parts of the map is just really questionable, but it's underrated. It's underrated because it's definitely a map that you can definitely go in and play, and you can get a pretty solid round in. It's not impossible to play. Like, you can definitely train in that, you know, middle level. Right after you get out of the first room, you go down the first elevator. You know, you can train downstairs in the laboratory. You know, there's different stuff to do. It's cool. It's a challenge again, a bit more of a challenge than a lot of the other maps we've been talking about. Yeah, so that's really why I think it's, you know, underrated. All right, so next map here is obviously Transit. Now, I guess this is sort of weird, and this number 2 is Transit. It's like, Transit's a meme, so it's really hard to tell if anyone actually likes Transit, because, you know, people are like, yo, my favorite map's Transit, man, my favorite map's Transit, but, you know, overall, most people think, and at least if you're going back to Black Ops 2, and I'm in my Black Ops 2 mindset, you know, Transit was terrible when it came out. I got so bored of Transit. I mean, I know I really just played like Town Survival back when Black Ops 2 came. Like, I did, you know, Transit was just not fun, you know. And overall, it's a pretty bad map. You know, the layout is cool, but just getting from place to place is just so bad. You hit the bus, and you can't control where you're going, and you have to go around the map like 3 times to get fully set up, and at that point it's like round 25. It's just ridiculous sometimes. So overall, the map is just, you can tell why someone would say it's a bad map, but it's underrated because it actually is a pretty innovative and just insane thought that you actually have a bus in zombies, and the bus takes you around this ginormous map, around these cornfields and to these different places. Like, when you think about it, when you play Transit, you can't think about a normal zombies map. You have to think about you're in a whole different sort of world, you know? You're in a whole different setting, and you just have to play it like you're not playing normal zombies, where you hop in, you open up a couple doors, the whole map is good, and then that's it. You're set up, you can get ready, whatever, you know? Transit, you actually have to just stick it out on the bus and wait for your perks, and then, you know, wait to go back around to get the box, and it's just so much different stuff you have to do, and it may seem tedious and stuff, but, you know, once you get used to it, Transit, pretty good for high rounds. Honestly, not that bad for high rounds. The jet gun, a lot of people, you know, don't know how to use it. Really, you just have to be slow with it. It's unlimited ammo. I mean, it's obvious, but if you just don't charge it all the way, it's not gonna break. You just have to blast one, hold it for a second, destroys all the zombies, it goes back again, destroy all the zombies. It's really not that bad. You know, if you learn how to use it, it's not that bad. It's not the best one to weapon at all. But I do think the map overall is underrated because it's a challenge. You can get a lot of stuff done, and you can actually go for a pretty decent high round. And it's cool. The map looks cool too. The diner and the bus depot and the town, all different stuff. You just driving through the fields. It's definitely a cool scene. It reminds you like you're in like a zombies movie or something, like a Michael Myers or like a Jason movie or something. You're in the fields and there's zombies everywhere. It's a really cool vibe. It's just, you know, the whole bus system and the fact that the locations are too far apart is, you know, the denizens, it loses it for people. But it's definitely underrated because you can do a lot of stuff there. You can have a lot of fun, and it's definitely a pretty damn cool map. So that's number 2. Now number 1, 100% people are gonna hate me for this. It's Die Rise, okay? Most underrated map is Die Rise. Now, I know I'm not giving the best reasoning for this, and I feel like someone that, you know, really wanted to do the underrated maps and really wanted to defend these maps could list out all the details. But I just personally think Die Rise is just hating on so much. I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, Die Rise is trash. I hate that map. The elevators. Just for some reason, I just like Die Rise. I don't know, man. I think you have to give it this. For the people that don't like Die Rise, it's a cool map. It's a cool looking map, you know? I think just being in these like Chinese skyscrapers, and not the fact that they're upside, I don't really care that they're upside down, or one's upside down, one's upright. I don't really care, but just the setting is just different. It's just such a cool thing, going up these different levels and down the, you know, down the elevator to the next location, down the escalator, and you can, you know, jump from place to place. It's a really cool feeling going from the top of the building, you know, jumping down, hopping down the elevator shaft, going back around, coming back up. It's just it's so different for a zombies map to have to do that, you know. Before, it's just like you walk and you're on the same level. Maybe you go up some stairs and you know, move around. I feel like it just gets boring, you know. In Die Rise, you're just constantly going up and down. Like, the map is vertical, you know. Now, obviously, we all know why it's bad. You have to sit there and wait for your perks to come back up and forth. And if you want to go up, you need to revive someone, and you need an elevator. You have to take the elevator up, and the elevators take forever. I mean, there's so many reasons why the map is just trash. There's no really good place to train, but besides that one location right outside the elevator shaft, and it's all like red. I think you guys know the room I'm talking about. But other than that location, you can't really train. You know, you have the camping spot. I mean, we all know why it's bad, but I think it's definitely underrated. I think Die Rise, it's a really fun map. It's different. It's extremely different. I think it's almost as different as Transit is to the other maps. You know, Transit has the bus. That's crazy. But Die Rise being so vertical and just so different, I don't know. I just like Die Rise. I just have a good time playing Die Rise. I don't know why. I don't know. I went into the Z House Discord and I was like, all right, underrated maps. What do you guys think? And a lot of people said Die Rise. I'm like, there you go, Die Rise. I like the Die Rise support. So I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. It's a pretty bad map. I'm not gonna lie, but I know I have fun with it. So let me know what you guys think about that. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching at the end of this video, leave a comment below with your favorite map. No, I can't do that. Leave a comment below with what you think is the most underrated map. That makes more sense. Leave a comment below if you're watching on this video. What do you think is your most underrated map? Do you agree with me? You know, do you not agree with me? Whatever. Just let me know. And that being said, see you guys later.